I don't like doing ranking videos. Let me make that very clear. I'm not a huge guy when it comes to ranking videos because I know how much people get cooked in the comment section when they make a bad ranking video. I do it to other people too because it's entertaining, because some rankings do suck. But I do think there are a general top 5 towers you can use in this game that overall are the best. I don't mean you use these 5 towers in a single loadout. I'm just saying in terms of their versatility, their cost efficientness, not necessarily their DPS. I'm not really looking at DPS in this video. Well, I kind of am. And all these like little factors that make them the best tower. So this is entirely my opinion. I am ranking these in order, and I do think that I'm pretty strongly convinced that these are the best towers you can have right now. So let's get into it. All right, so the first tower on this list, it's up to you if you want to believe me or not, but I'm giving it to what I think is also the best golden tower right now, the golden pyromancer. Now, before you start attacking me in the comments for saying this, I need you to hear me out here. The golden pyromancer right now is arguably one of the most versatile towers I have ever seen. It is such a good tower for dealing with Swarm. It's out of this world. I know I recently made a video about Executioner and Frostblaster. That's all great, but that's not cheap. Golden Pyromancer only costs $350 to upgrade to level 1, and look at how it's doing. It's more of a support tower. You use the Golden Pyromancer to support. Against something like the heavies, this is really useful. Like, really useful. Look at how it deals with these heavies. Obviously, you have the Golden Soldier to help you, because you don't use Golden Pyromancer on its own, but with the help of a different Golden Tower, let's say the Golden Soldier, or any tower, it can deal destruction. That's really good. And then let's say I were to upgrade my Golden Soldier here. The cost efficientness is really well with Pyromancer. It's very good in the early game. Even in the late game too. There's no reason to not be using Pyromancer at any point in the game. You can place down a Pyromancer from wave 0. Well, you can't place it from wave 0. You could place it from really whenever you want. And for a cheap price, you can go really far with it. Obviously, it's a support tower, but the support is actually insane. Look at the amount of damage it's doing on its own. It's a really great tower. I definitely think it's deserving in number 5. Another reason why I think it deserves number 5 is because of its defense melting. Defense is a big problem to a lot of towers. One tower that I love using that gets affected by defense melting a lot is the Ranger. And the Ranger is, as you guys know, a single attack tower. It attacks like once and then has a quick slow reload. Defense melting benefits the Ranger a lot because it allows it to dish out more damage. Not only that, but like I can't emphasize enough how good the swarm control is. Normally you only get 1 instead it's a farthest, but let's say I got 2 right here. Obviously I do have 2 golden soldiers, but they'll weaken the breaker, almost killing it. And then just look, everything behind it is just dying. This tower is it's a really great tower. I don't see enough people using it. I know people think that the golden minigunner and stuff is better, which I'm not going to really argue against. I will argue against it. I do think the golden pyro is the best, but it has hidden detection. It's very well cost efficient. And no matter how you use it, it's useful. The golden soldier, which is also a really great tower, it can't be used in the late game. Well, it can, but it won't do as much. The golden pyromancer can be used from start to finish, which is why I think it is truly deserving of the number 5 slot. So hopefully you hear me out about this and don't attack me in the comments, because I genuinely think that this is deserving. So let's move on to number 4. So listen, the big thing about Commander, which I'm giving to the number 4 tower slot, is that it's very good with its Call of Arms ability. A lot of people do believe that the DJ is better than Commander. And I can kind of see that, but I also can't. You have to hear me out here on why I think Commander is number 4 on the tower list. A lot of strategies need Commander. You do need DJ too, but Commander is like something else. I'm gonna have to deal with this. Commander is like, picture it like this. It's a support tower that is so essential that some towers cannot run without it. Ranger, for example, I can't use Ranger without the commander. And the difference that separates commander from DJ is that a fire rate boost, like I said, is so essential that yes, you could have a cash reduction boost from the DJ, but in some game modes you don't even need a cash reduction. It's just the principle. Like commander having that fire rate buff, especially when you're chaining commanders, is so essential to so many different things that it feels almost criminal not putting it at least number 4 in the tower list. DJ isn't on this tower list. I would give DJ a number 6 if I had to guess. But commander chaining it, like you saw it here. My soldiers are struggling to kill these guys. But when I use Call of Arms, it's different. They're no longer struggling. That, in my eyes, is what sets commander as number 4. It's very good. Any tower can get a benefit from commander. Any tower can get a benefit from DJ too. But not every tower needs DJ's buff. You don't always need the damage buff. You don't always need the cash buff. Gatling Gunner, which is on this list, doesn't even need the range buff because it has infinite range. Ranger doesn't need a range buff. Ranger hardly even needs a damage buff. Engineer doesn't even get buffed. Well, Engineer would benefit more from DJ, obviously, but you get the idea. Personally, it feels like you need commander way more than you need DJ. There's so many more towers that benefit from commander than DJ, and that's, in my eyes, what sets it apart as the 4th best tower on this list. I don't know why I just napalm strike that thing, but because I'm gonna be leaving this anyway. But yeah, you can disagree with me on this. This one I kind of put as like a little strong. I was really debating between commander and DJ. I do think one of them deserved number 4, and one of them would deserve number 6 if there was a number 6. But you could just see it here. The amount of shred that commander's Call of Arms ability brings, especially when you chain him, it's so crucial. It is so crucial. So that's what I think is the number 4 best tower in the game. I did also put commander in my what towers you get as a beginner video, because I do think beginners really benefit from this tower too. So with that being said, let's get into number 3. Alright, now for this next tower, something that I think can be universally more agreed on than my other ones is the Ranger. I'm giving it to the Ranger because of its, again, versatility. I love the Ranger. I use the Ranger all the time. Personally, it is my favorite tower in the entire game. Now, you might think I'm biased for putting Ranger in the number 3 position because I do think it's my favorite tower in the game. But I'm not. I genuinely do believe that the Ranger can be used in almost any loadout and be useful. New players can easily use the Ranger. It benefits very well from support towers, including the Commander. I forgot to bring the Commander in this case, but normally I would bring Commander, and it really does help the Ranger benefit. Another great thing about the Ranger is its flying detection. A lot of towers have flying detection, right? But not a lot of them are very good. Like the Engineer, for example, it does have flying detection, but its flying detection is limited to just the Engineer, not the turret itself. But the Ranger, with its great range and its really good damage, it is truly probably the best tower. Now, another thing you could point out about the Ranger is that it doesn't have hidden detection, which is a flaw, right? Not having hidden detection is big. A lot of towers don't do well without hidden detection, but you do have to keep in mind the Ranger is not really meant to deal with that. The Ranger is meant to deal with bigger health things. Setting Ranger to strongest, right now I have it on first because I'm not using my actual loadout and I'm using these, but in an actual loadout you set Ranger to strongest and ideally it will do a lot. Ranger, like the Golden Pyromancer and the Commander, honestly, is more of a support type of thing. I rank Ranger more of a support troop because it's made to weaken and honestly kill these higher elf enemies. Like 2 Rangers alone is what I have right now. And obviously I have 1 maxed out. Look at that, 1050 damage. You can't beat that. Obviously with Commander it's more, but trust me when I say, when you set to Ranger the strongest, it is a good tower all around. And honestly, you can swap from first to strongest whenever you need to. Like when you need to deal with flying enemies, you just swap it back to first. Mess around with the targeting. Ranger is also cheap for beginners. It's 10,000 coins, so you can get it relatively early in the game, maybe like before level 50. It's very useful in hardcore, and the developers know this because they nerfed Max Ranger for pretty much for hardcore mode. It's really great with Commander, which I did mention when I put Commander in, and I love the Ranger. It's very good at dealing with leak enemies too. That's a big thing. Like in this game, because I didn't use an actual loadout, I did have to waste a nuke and 2 napalm strikes to get to wave 28, partially because of bad strategy. But if I just got Rangers, they would have dealt with the leaks just fine. It saves you the consumables. So yeah, I truly am a believer that the Ranger is just a really great tower, and it can deal with a lot of things that other towers can't. And the way it deals with leaked enemies especially is really good. And about the thing with hidden detection, you're gonna probably have another tower in your loadout with hidden detection enemy. Well, let's be real. Hidden detection in fallen mode at least is not really a big deal. There's not a lot of hidden enemies in fallen mode. So you just get rangers. I have golden soldiers in this case. I do want to cut this out to wave 31, so I'm just going to cut this real quick and we'll see how it performs. Alright, wave 31. Everybody's dreadful wave. I don't know why I have this at the strongest. Let's set these all to first. This is without commander, by the way. My ranger does need commander usually, so let's see how this goes. Okay, things are leaking outside of the golden soldier, but it just does not matter because the ranger snipes it. So yeah, I do hope that proved that ranger really is the number 3 tower. I would also like to give an honorary mention to the farm. I didn't put farm on this top 5 list, partially because I think it's super support and it doesn't do any damage, but without farm, obviously nothing can run. So farm is a good honorary mention for second place, but now I'm going to get into what I actually think is second place. So I'm rightfully upset. Last match I did put this I have engineer at number 2, and I recorded a whole thing on it, but I actually wasn't recording, so now I have to restart, and I'm using timescale tickets now because I have to get to work soon. But the number 5th tower, or the second best tower in the game right now, is the engineer. And I think this is very universally agreed on. I think that this tower is really great in every single game mode. It's very good in the early game, middle game, and end game. Its versatility is off the charts. Like I said, you can use this tower whenever you want, and the best part about it is that it's stun resistant. And a lot of bosses love to stun, let me tell you, especially the Fallen King. It does love to stun a lot. And towers like the Accelerator, which is also said to be one of the best towers, even though I didn't put it in this top 5, gets stunned a lot. So the stun resistance that engineer has is really good. You can use the engineer in the early game. That's the big thing about it. Normally you would have like DPS as your first tower slot, like a support tower, farm, early game tower, and like, I don't know, whatever you want your other tower to be. Engineer can be both that DPS slot and that early game slot, assuming you use it correctly. I actually use engineer and golden pyromancer in the same loadout in my actual deck because I think its versatility together in the early game is really good. And it is. I mean, look at it destroy. I mean, obviously I haven't farmed. Normally I would get farms, but level 3 engineer completely shreds the boss. Obviously you'd probably have like a level 2 at this point, but I'm trying to go quickly because like I said, I have work. But the big thing to take away about engineer is that it's very versatile, can be used in every game mode. It's a late game tower. It can be a late game tower, it can be an early game tower. I can't express its versatility enough. And it's just so good. It's really a great tower. There's nothing really to argue here. Sure, it doesn't get the support tower benefit, or the turrets don't, but it really doesn't need it that hard. It does a ton of damage on its own. And yeah, there's not much to argue here. Engineer is a really great tower. Now, I'm sure you can guess what I'm going to give to the top tower in the game right now. You can guess it right now, but I do have a good reason for it, obviously. I have a good reason for everything here. But yeah, let's get into what I think is the number 1 best tower in the game. I don't think there's much arguing to be said here. Obviously, the best tower in the game is the Gatling gun for many reasons. One, it has infinite range when you're playing as it. That is the big thing. Obviously, when you're not playing as it, it's not a very great tower, but assuming you're always playing as it, it's the best by far. In fact, it's so good that it even got banned in Halloween. Like, that's how you know a tower is good, when it gets banned for being too good. The bullet piercing on this thing is really great. Can take out meaning it does have good swarm control with the bullet piercing, and even if you don't have swarms, you could still deal almost 900 DPS, I think it is, with Commander and DJ on a single target thing. That is the most damage in the entire game. Obviously, you can only get one because you're playing as it, but that's just obvious. You know, the reload, sure, there is a reload, but it doesn't make a big difference. Like, its DPS isn't affected too hard by it. And if you get this early, like I got it by wave 10, if you can get it early, it will completely annihilate everything. It's double trouble upgrade, which I think is like level 1, 2, 3, or 4, something like that. What level? Level 3, yeah, extra barrel. That's where it becomes really overpowered in the early game. It can shred everything, and since you're playing as it, you can choose what you want it to shoot at. And that's huge. It's very good with flying enemies. If you don't have any flying or hidden detection in your loadout, but you have Gatling gun, suddenly everything is covered easily. And there's no debate about it. It's covered. You're fine. So obviously you don't have to be playing as it, but it doesn't matter. You could take a break every now and then. It's not the end of the world. But yeah. So comment down below if you do agree with this tier list. I do think that this is the most accurate tier list I could come up with right now. Giving it a number. These top 5 were very much needed. Obviously, I give an honorable mention to the farm, but I do not see these towers being used enough. Well, I do see Engineer being used enough. Gatling gun I don't see being used enough. Commander I don't. I see a lot more DJ than I do Commander, which blows my mind because I do think Commander is a lot better. Engineer you obviously everywhere, but Golden Pyromancer I think just needs to be used a lot more. So if you're still watching at this point, thank you. Leave a comment down below if you think that you agree with this, or if you disagree with this, feel free to argue against it. I will probably have an answer for every single comment you throw at me on why I defend this opinion. So come at me with any opinion you want. I'm probably going to deny it, but I'm very flexible with tier lists, so let me know what you think. I don't like doing tier list videos like this again, so I probably won't. Let's see if I get impressions within the first 3 days, because if not, I'll see you next week. Nah, I'm just kidding. Bye-bye.